Murphy Harpst has a rich history. We are 90 years old, organized in 1924, and we are the joint venture of two women, Sarah Murphy and Ethel Harpst. And both these women came in the early 1900s to Cedartown to make a difference in the lives of children. And we've been carrying on that tradition for nearly the last 100 years.
Ethel Harpst's biggest gift might have been the time and effort she gave to so many children in need. During her early years of service with the Women's Home Missionary Society, she took in a number of children who had been orphaned.
Ethel Harpst came to Cedartown not specifically to open an orphanage, that's what it became. She came to provide needed services to children who were abandoned, neglected, who had basically been kicked to the curb, thrown away.
Ethel Harpst began her long career of caring for children at the McCarty Settlement House in Cedartown's Mill Village.
She was assigned by the Women's Home Mission Society of the Methodist Church back in 1914 as a missionary to Cedartown. Now, it's hard today to think of a missionary being assigned to Georgia, but during that day there was no Department of Family and Children's Services, no Social Security, no Medicare, no Medicaid. The church had to do it.
If you think about ministering to children, if you think about ministering to people who don't have anywhere else to go and who have not been treated well by life, that type of ministry to children, I think, is at the heart of what she was after.
The initial investment that Ethel Harpst was able to get from the women's ministry from New York, that was what gave us the campus. Obviously, it's been a huge under-support for the continuation of the work that we do today.
With a home full of children, Ethel Harpst traveled to raise funds. And in 1927, the first modern building, James Hall, was completed, just in time for children who were displaced and orphaned during the Depression.
Eventually, a druggist in Cedartown donated a house on a hilltop, and that was the beginning of the Harpst home in 1924.
Like an answer to a prayer, interest and attention to the home was shown by Mr. and Mrs. Henry Pfeiffer of New York. Through the Pfeiffers and several others, money was raised to allow for more buildings on the campus over the next 20 years, and hundreds of acres were donated to the cause.
To provide the therapeutic services and the recreational and support services that these children need, we have to raise $1.6 million every year. That's to cover the costs of services in our operating budget, and half of that goes directly to therapy services.
But when they leave here, they see that we are here for them and that we are going to provide for them what is necessary so they can make a recovery, they can heal, they can thrive, they can get back into the mainstream of society. And we are fortunate that 86% of the time, nearly 9 out of 10, we're able to turn these children's lives around.
We take the level of care just a little bit further than a lot of organizations, which is why we require the $1.6 million in private support that we do, and I think our success rate shows that.
Sarah Murphy, she worked in the black community at that time. That was in the days of segregation, and she was doing the same thing in the black community that Ethel was doing in the white community.
They really knew how to start something that would have some legacy for them. So Sarah and Ethel both were wonderful women. Their dreams actually came together to form Murphy Harpst Children's Centers in 1984.
Today, the site houses the Murphy Harpst residential programs, where Georgia's severely abused children can go for healing and therapy.
With this legacy, it's amazing what one person or a couple of people in this case can do, and the impact that it's had on so many people over the years. I can't think of a more worthy way to spend your life.
Ethel Harpst retired in 1951 at the age of 68 and passed away in 1967 after a long illness. Her funeral was held at the Harpst Home Chapel, and she was buried in Cedartown.
Both of these women came together in the day to start something that is very special, and Georgia is a better place.
We continue programming that is desperately needed by so many children that is not provided in other places. In that sense, I think we really continue that legacy.
It tugs at your heart. That's why this is important. It's because it's about those kids over there and giving them a second chance. That's the legacy of Sarah Murphy and Ethel Harpst.